Well, y'all, Nicki Minaj is back on X, and she's coming for Jay-Z. So in a series of tweets, Nicki Minaj is claiming that Jay-Z owes her 100 to 200 million so far.
It started with a confession nobody, and I mean nobody, saw coming. The kind that doesn't just make headlines, it flips the entire hip-hop world upside down. When Nicki Minaj finally spoke up about Jay-Z, she didn't spill basic industry drama or talk about a deal gone wrong. Nah, she peeled back layers nobody expected. According to Nicki, this all goes way back to when Jay supposedly tried to cross that fine line between business and something way more personal. And when she turned him down, everything changed. That's when, in her words, the quiet takedown began. Subtle. Strategic. Ruthless. From that point on, a Cold War started simmering in the shadows. Not the kind you catch in diss tracks or viral rants, this one played out in private. Behind locked doors, in cryptic text messages, and whispered talks between the real movers and shakers. Hip-hop's seen its fair share of feuds, but this? This feels different. It cuts deep right into power, influence, and what really goes down when the spotlight fades and the real games begin.
Like blogs and online platforms don't touch what she's saying, and they don't cover all of her words fully because it's Jay-Z and Roc Nation.
Well, I'll tell you this, I have no idea about their business, but if someone owed me $200 million, then I would be in court, not on X, and I guarantee you if she ever took that to court, that would be a huge story.
The timeline makes this whole thing a lot harder to brush off. So, let's take it back. Early 2021, Jay-Z cashes out, selling Tidal for more than $300 million. But rewind to 2015. And Nicki says she was promised a 3% cut of that deal. Real ownership. Real money. So when the payout finally came, she claims she didn't see a single cent. Not one. And to be fair, she's got a point. Nicki was out here pushing Tidal harder than anyone outside of Beyoncé herself. She acted like that platform had her name on it. Industry chatter later confirmed that some of the original artists walked away with millions. But Nicki? Her name was missing from that list entirely. At first, people chalked it up to just another celebrity complaint. But then, the spiral started. March 2024, Nicki and her husband, Kenneth Petty, got slammed with a $500,000 default judgment after a German security guard claimed Petty assaulted him backstage. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, that same guy's legal team went straight for Nicki's jugular, trying to seize her $20 million Hidden Hills mansion. By September, the LA Sheriff's Office confirmed it, her home was officially under levy. And here's where it gets wild, all of this went down just weeks after Nicki started publicly naming Jay-Z over that Tidal deal. Now she's neck-deep in lawsuits, bad press, and non-stop media hits, all being pushed by outlets conveniently linked to Roc Nation. So the question is, was it just bad luck, or a not-so-subtle reminder from Jay's camp about who's really pulling the strings?
Apparently Nicki Minaj has dragged Jay-Z to filth. She blasts him for being evil and spiteful.
Nicki sure seemed to think so. On October 15, 2025, she pulled her boldest card yet, dropping a post that stunned the internet. She announced her album was officially cancelled and tagged Jay-Z directly, writing, "Hope you're happy now." Just like that, chaos erupted online. Within hours, her entire Instagram disappeared, wiped out like it never existed. Then, a few days later, it came back, but not the same. Right at the top was an AI photo of Jay-Z rocking a bright pink wig, captioned, "I am your karma." The internet lost its mind. Fans split fast, some said Nicki had finally gone off the rails, others said she was standing up for herself in the only way she could. But for the ones who followed her story from day one, it didn't sound like meltdown energy. It sounded like a warning, a promise that she'd torch everything before letting the industry silence her again. And of course, the response came quick. Charlamagne the God, one of Jay's loudest supporters, wasted no time handing her the Donkey of the Day title on The Breakfast Club. His words cut deep, "Your energy is just stank and nasty." He painted her as a fading star desperate for relevance. But something about that timing? Way too clean. The segment aired just 48 hours after Nicki accused Jay's team of blocking her radio interviews. And word on the inside says that episode didn't just pass through production, it got greenlit all the way up the iHeart exec ladder. The same exec, by the way, still happens to be tight with Roc Nation. So was it just another spicy radio moment? Or was it something bigger, a quiet, calculated hit meant to remind everyone exactly who still controls the narrative?
Y'all really do not understand who I really am. Bring it, let's play. Y'all wanted attention, let's do it. Then she starts talking to the LAPD about something we have nothing to do with. And she's saying to Republic Records that they need to stand up for her any day now. Then she says, you'll regret it. Now, I've been going down a rabbit hole.
Here? Why did this happen?
Then came the real nightmare for swatting calls, one after another. Each one more terrifying than the last. Armed officers stormed Nicki's home every single time, guns drawn, while her toddler was right there in the house. The LAPD confirmed it all happened, but their response? A shrug. No suspects, no leads, no solid explanation. And Nicki wasn't about to let that slide. She took it straight to the public, calling it what it was, intimidation. This wasn't some emotional outburst either. She went full throttle, tagging Republic Records and even a few people connected to Jay-Z's circle. According to her, she had the receipts, proof that these weren't random prank calls but a targeted effort meant to shake her up from the inside out. And then, like clockwork, it all just stopped. No more calls, no press releases, no arrests. Just radio silence. But that quiet said it all. Whoever was behind it wanted her to get the message loud and clear. She wasn't untouchable. They could reach her anytime, even in the one place she thought she was safe.
Nicki Minaj, she went on another Twitter rant. She still got Jay-Z and Roc Nation in every tweet. She be wilding on them. I ain't gonna lie, I ain't never seen nobody come at Jay-Z this hard.
When you start putting all the pieces together, it stops feeling like a coincidence and starts looking like a master plan. Every twist, every headline, every so-called random hit all lining up too cleanly to be chance. It began with the money moves, that missing Tidal payout, the lawsuits, and those sudden debt stories that just happened to flood the press at the same time. Then came the public humiliation phase, Charlamagne's takedown, Stephen A. Smith chiming in, and every major outlet parroting the same lines like it was coming from one shared playbook. Next, it shifted into mind games. Her socials are vanishing. The weird AI posts. The middle of the night swatting raids. Sure, taken separately, they look like random chaos. But side by side? It's a pattern, a well-oiled system built to break her down. And here's the haunting part, a former label exec supposedly admitted off record that when a woman in this business rejects the wrong man, they don't just blacklist her. They wipe her out completely.
Over and people, you know what I'm saying?
Kendrick Lamar is the hottest out right
He is
now.
though. Kendrick hot.
They're going to make their money.
What made everything even darker was how fast the industry locked into place, like someone flipped a switch overnight. Just hours after Nicki's outburst, Gucci Mane's wife, Keisha Cole, conveniently popped up on The Breakfast Club, gushing about Gucci's recovery and mental clarity. The timing? A little too cute. Nicki wasn't having it. She fired back hard, accusing Keisha of being rolled out to keep Gucci sedated. At first, it sounded off the rails until Nicki looped Charlamagne back in, calling him one of Jay-Z's closest allies and slamming iHeartRadio for what she called disgusting PR against innocent families. And suddenly, it didn't sound so crazy. The same pattern was right there, same show, same hosts, same tone, same timing. Whether you believe Nicki or not, the coordination was impossible to ignore. Meanwhile, Jay-Z stayed silent. No statement, no post, no nothing. Just stillness while everyone else spoke on his behalf. Reporters called Nicki unstable. Pundits painted her as her own worst enemy. And Jay? He let the world do the talking, watching as her name got dragged while his stayed spotless. Then came the Super Bowl spark. Nicki went straight for the jugular, accusing Jay-Z of blocking Lil Wayne from performing at the 2025 halftime show, saying his ego was holding back greatness. The internet roasted her for it, calling her bitter and messy. But underneath the noise, there was something real: loyalty. Wayne was the one who discovered her, believed in her before anyone else. Seeing him sidelined in his own city? That stung. To Nicki, it wasn't business. It was revenge, the quiet kind she'd been warning about all along. By late October, the tension hit a boiling point. Her mansion was still under threat, the lawsuits stacking up, and just as she started teasing the relaunch of her billionaire Barbie brand, the smear cycle kicked back in. Suddenly, every outlet was dragging up the same old stories about her husband's probation and past charges. No updates, no new details, just recycled dirt repackaged with fresh dates. Media insiders later called it a refresh cycle, a clever PR tactic used to bury real stories under stale scandals. And at the top of that smear wave? The same familiar names. The same outlets are tied straight to Roc Nation's media network. Coincidence, or a cleanup operation in full swing?
So tell me about your relationship with Beyonce, because she's on a track here.
You know, it's everybody asks me.
It all circles back to one chilling question: what if Nicki's telling the truth? What if saying no to Jay-Z really did spark a personal vendetta that's been quietly burning for years? Because if that's real, then what else has been hiding beneath the glittering surface of hip-hop's biggest empire? Nicki's never just talked about beef. She's hinted at something way bigger, a full-blown system designed to protect one man's image at any cost. Lawyers, media execs, industry insiders, even law enforcement, all allegedly moving in perfect rhythm, all working to keep the machine spotless. There's no hard proof, not yet. But the timing, the patterns, the eerie silence? They speak louder than any denial ever could. Because if Jay really does have that kind of reach enough to twist the legal system, media outlets, and radio networks into tools for punishment, then who else has been shut down the same way? And the scarier question, who's next? But underneath all that, there's an even darker layer. What Nicki hinted at next wasn't just about revenge, it was about power. A network so deep, so tangled, that even Beyonce might not be beyond its grasp. That $500,000 judgment against Nicki? It wasn't just some random legal blow. It landed like a financial guillotine, slicing right through her independence. A cold, calculated reminder of how ruthless this game can be when you step out of line. Then came the name that made things even murkier, Thomas Byton Mueller. Out of nowhere, he reappeared, claiming unpaid damages tied to that 2019 security guard incident overseas. And the timing? Impossible to ignore. The second Nicki started publicly calling Jay out, that dusty old case suddenly shot through the courts at lightning speed. Within months, her $20 million Hidden Hills home was slapped with a levy. To casual fans, it just looked like celebrity chaos, another messy headline. But to anyone really watching, it felt like pressure. A subtle, surgical warning sent straight from the top. Because that seizure notice wasn't just a stack of legal papers. It was a message, cold, deliberate, and unmistakable. About who really runs the game. Who stays untouchable. And who pays the ultimate price for daring to speak up.
I hope it's worth losing everything, including your account, because Nicki Minaj has been on X saying that the blogs and online creators don't cover her and Jay-Z's back and forth the same way as they do everything else.
Well, it's not a back and forth.
It's definitely not a back and forth. I was about to, it's just been for.
And that same pattern? It all loops right back to Tidal, the empire Jay-Z cashed out of in 2021 for roughly $302 million. Nicki's been saying for years that her promised slice of that pie, worth somewhere between $100 and $200 million, just disappeared into thin air. On paper, every founding artist was supposed to get equity and a payout. But when the deal closed, insiders say her name was gone. Wiped clean, like she'd never been part of it at all. So was that just business, or payback for turning down the wrong man? What followed was pure silence. Nicki kept pushing, asking questions, demanding answers. And both Roc Nation and Block Incorporated? Nothing. No clarification, no comment, no denial. Just a wall of corporate quiet that stretched on for years. Then, like clockwork, the second she mentioned it again this fall, chaos. Lawsuits piling up. Property seizures. Headlines flooding every feed, each one painting her as unstable or reckless. To casual fans, it looked like unfortunate timing. But to anyone really paying attention, it felt orchestrated, too smooth, too exact. A double hit disguised as coincidence. Financial retaliation wrapped in PR polish. A chilling reminder of what happens when you dare to challenge the wrong kind of power.
Yeah, so.
What that got to do with Sister Minaj?
Because there's a lot of fans online having a conversation right now following our interview if whether or not Kenneth, who's Nicki Minaj's husband, should be doing the same for Nicki Minaj, because
Absolutely.
She's online and there's a lot of things that she's saying and
But that
different things that
wasn't
are
the reason
happening.
she shot at Charlamagne, was it?
No, forget me. Why did she come at Keisha? I don't understand. Like, what did anything Keisha have to say?
Behind those sleek glass walls at Roc Nation, one name keeps surfacing: Desiree Perez. The powerhouse CEO, once pardoned by a former president, is now whispered about as the real architect behind the curtain. People close to major label negotiations say Perez was the one quietly making the calls, warning streaming platforms and event promoters to minimize risk when it came to Nicki. In plain terms? Freeze her out. No collaborations. No major stage time. No visibility. Even inside Republic Records, things reportedly split down the middle. Half the room fought to protect Nicki, while the other half folded under the weight of Roc Nation's influence. And the timing couldn't have been more suspicious. Right after Nicki went public about the missing Tidal money, internal audits started popping up out of nowhere. Then came those 4 swatting calls. Armed cops at her door, again and again. Maybe a coincidence. Maybe not. But when you line it up with everything else, the pattern turns cold. And the blows just kept coming. Suddenly, private messages between Nicki's team and industry contacts started leaking to gossip blogs, the same ones known for running Roc Nation exclusives. Some messages made her look unhinged. Others accused her of owing huge advances. None were verified, but they were messy enough to stain her reputation. One former road manager said it flat out, "This isn't about truth. It's about exhaustion." And that's exactly what it felt like, a slow, precision-crafted takedown. Each headline, each meltdown clip, each conveniently timed leak is designed to chip away at her piece by piece. Not to end her all at once, but to drain her until there was nothing left to fight back with.
She is, I mean, just her name alone just defines greatness, right? You know, like just her.
Through all the chaos, one name somehow stayed untouched: Beyoncé. When Nicki dropped that cryptic line, "Bye, new," the internet erupted. If Jay-Z really did cross a line with Nicki all those years ago, fans couldn't help but ask the uncomfortable question, what did Beyoncé know, and when did she know it? Her silence since then has been deafening. On the surface, she's poised, graceful, and unbothered. But behind the scenes? Insiders say her team's been in full crisis mode, quietly calling radio stations, stylists, and producers, making sure no one even mentions Nicki around her name. One insider summed it up perfectly: they can't afford for this to look like betrayal inside music's royal family. And that says everything. Because if there's even a hint of truth in Nicki's story, Beyoncé's silence isn't elegance, it's survival. The stakes here reach way past gossip. For nearly 2 decades, Jay-Z and Beyoncé have been the gold standard, hip-hop's ultimate power couple, building an empire on influence and image. But if Nicki's claims start poking holes in that foundation, the entire brand could crack. Studio whispers say NDAs have already gone into overdrive, locking down Roc Nation insiders, especially women tied to any past disputes. Lawyers are reportedly digging through old contracts, rewriting loyalty clauses, and scrubbing away any trace of loose ends. Now, nobody wants to be the next name caught in the crossfire. What once looked like careful PR management is starting to look a lot more like damage containment: silent, strategic, and deadly precise.
I feel like I am like absorbing advice from her and like learning from her and stuff, and she'll tell me like, learn from my mistakes.
Nicki's turned social media into her last battleground, the only space she still truly commands. After that haunting AI photo of Jay-Z in a pink wig with the caption, "I am your karma," she didn't fade into the background. She doubled down. Post after post, she called out the gatekeepers she says have been boxing her out: radio execs, promoters, even her own label. She dared them to clap back. And when they didn't, she turned the heat up, hinting that she's got receipts, real ones, and she's not afraid to bring them into court. Her warning was sharp: the same business managers who stole from me are still working for them. Nobody knows if that battle will ever make it to a courtroom, but one thing's certain: Nicki's no longer just fighting a feud. She's standing as the symbol of someone who refused to play by their quiet rules. And you can feel the ripple behind the scenes. Smaller artists whisper about shows being mysteriously cancelled. Podcasters who speak up for her start getting calls from advertisers, friendly reminders about which names to avoid. Meanwhile, sources say Beyoncé's camp is keeping a close eye, tracking which outlets cover what and when. That kind of monitoring doesn't happen without reason. It happens when an empire starts feeling tremors under its feet. The more Nicki speaks out, the louder the silence becomes. That's what unnerves people: the invisible pressure, the psychological pushback. Every fiery post, every vanishing tweet, every strange AI moment gets dismissed as drama. But look closer, and there's a rhythm. A call and response. Each time she takes the mic, another hit lands: a lawsuit, a leak, a headline designed to chip away at her. It's like the system is watching her, waiting for her to react, just to point and say, "See? She's unhinged." But maybe this isn't a meltdown at all. Maybe it's exposure, the cracks finally showing after years of pressure, control, and manipulation. The mask slipping, not just for her, but for the machine that's been trying to break her, now unraveling in plain sight, one post at a time.
The National Football League announced that West Coast rapper Kendrick Lamar will headline the Super Bowl 59 halftime show in New Orleans.
Inside the industry, the whispers are growing louder, impossible to ignore. Word is, Nicki's supposed volatility isn't just being discussed, it's being weaponized. Executives who once fought to sign her now hide behind contract language, labeling her unpredictable. Insurance companies tag her as a liability. Even publicists who used to write for her are stepping back. That madness narrative? It's the perfect cover, turning her exhaustion into hysteria, drowning out the substance of everything she's been saying. It's the oldest trick in the book: take a powerful woman's burnout and twist it into proof that she's the problem. The cruelest part? The more she pushes back, the easier it is for them to paint her as unstable. If even a sliver of her story is true, this isn't about one artist cracking under pressure. It's about an industry that wields fear like a tool. The gossip, the headlines, the memes, they're not just chatter. They're a softer, sleeker kind of censorship. One that doesn't silence you outright, it convinces everyone else not to listen. That's the real play here. Quiet erasure. A method that makes the world question your sanity, not your story. And honestly, that's the scariest part. If Nicki Minaj, with her millions, her platform, her reach, can be pushed this close to the edge, what hope do other artists have? The ones without her resources, her clout, her voice? Strip away the glitz, and this isn't just revenge. It's control. Nicki's not just fighting for her money, her home, or her reputation, she's fighting for the right to exist outside a system built to own her. And if even part of what she's saying is true, we could be witnessing one of the most calculated acts of retaliation the music industry has ever engineered, a machine designed to crush defiance and erase the evidence. So here's the haunting question no one wants to ask: if it can happen to Nicki Minaj with all her power, all her influence, what chance does anyone else have? Drop your thoughts below, hit like, and subscribe, because trust me, this story? It's far from over. We'll see you in the next one.